Hello friends. Today I thought we might take a quick look at a few records from my vinyl record collection. I've been collecting vinyl records for a few years now. So I somewhat randomly pulled 5 albums to look at with you. We can look at the album art and maybe the vinyl color and talk a little bit about each one. I would love to know if you enjoy collecting vinyl records as well, or if it's something you might be interested in getting into. There's something very cool about being able to hold the music in your hand before and after you listen to it. And I think that's part of why I like to own the records themselves. So I decided to put these in release date order, for lack of a better order. So up first we have Close to the Edge by Yes, which is a prog rock, progressive rock band. There are some photos of the band members there. Close to the Edge was released 1972 on Atlantic Records. Cover has a nice texture to it. I don't know if that really shows on camera, but it's a really cool texture. And this is a gatefold. So we also have some album art on the inside here. Very cool. And the vinyl itself is black vinyl with the Atlantic label. And side one is basically just one long song called Close to the Edge. And if you are interested in prog rock and just how much music 5 guys can make together at one time, that's a really good place to start. So that's Close to the Edge by Yes from 1972. Jumping ahead a couple of decades, I have one of my favorite albums. This is Third Eye Blind's self-titled album from 1997. I imagine that most people have heard at least one or two songs from this album. Especially if you were alive at any point in the late 90s or 2000s. But this one had quite a few hits, like Losing a Whole Year, the mega hit Semi-Charmed Life, Jumper, How's It Gonna Be, Graduate. I think all of those were, at varying points, quite popular. And if you were to listen to a 90s playlist on Spotify or Apple Music, I can almost guarantee you there will be a song from this on it. On the inside we have a printed card with the lyrics and credits. And the vinyl on this is a black 180 gram. It's a thicker vinyl. And this particular copy is from a printer called Music on Vinyl, which reissues certain albums that are really high quality. And I can say this one is a very nice master of the album for vinyl. So again, if you haven't heard Third Eye Blind's self-titled album from 1997, I would highly recommend it if you are a fan of alternative music. Up next I have another, I would call it modern classic. This is the one and only full-length album from the Postal Service called Give Up. And I believe this record was released in 2003. This particular copy says copyright 2004, but for some reason my memory, it was 2003, but either way, this is definitely an early 2000s classic. Mixture of electronic music and guitars, drums. One of the side projects of Death Cab for Cutie's lead singer and lyricist Ben Gibbard. This album comes on a cool pink vinyl. It's always fun to add different color vinyl to the collection. Inside we also have a poster. Which I believe is double-sided, yeah. So this one Says such great heights. And on the other side, we have the district sleeps alone tonight. Both of those were two of the more popular songs used in many soundtracks. This is a gatefold as well, so we have some artwork on the inside. And I believe, yeah, this one also has a little booklet that it came with. It's nicely embossed. Not sure how well that shows on camera. Inside we have some artistic photos and artwork along with lyrics. We have the credits for each song. More artwork. It's little things like this booklet that make me a big fan of vinyl collecting, as it's a nice way to have a physical connection with the music you like in a way that streaming services just don't give you. And it's a nice way for artists to connect with their fans in different ways, show a little bit of their personality through the artwork and the bonus materials they might include. But if you're a fan of electronic pop music, you've probably heard this already, but if not, I would highly recommend Give Up by the Postal Service from 2003 or maybe 2004. This next album probably needs no introduction. This is Take Care by Drake. I think obviously Drake is now one of the largest superstars in the music industry and one of the probably the largest music acts in the world as far as streaming numbers and the money that he makes from his music. But I like to think at this point in his career that all of that was just starting. And I still think this was, or is, probably his best album. There's something a bit more vulnerable and knew about it in a way that maybe now is starting to wear thin in the industry and with his music in particular. But I think at the time this came out, it was a very different type of sound. One of my favorite tracks is Marvin's Room, which was not your typical hip-hop track in 2011. This one's also a gatefold, so we have some more artwork and lyrics. And this album was released on the Cash Money Records label, which was I believe an arm of the Universal company. This is a double LP on black vinyl. Several radio hits from this album, so I feel pretty confident most people have heard it, but if for some reason you haven't, you like R&B driven hip-hop with a very low-key production, you should definitely listen to Take Care by Drake from 2011. And finally, for this video, I brought Boygenius, the record. I believe this album just won Alternative Album of the Year at the Grammys. This album came out last year, 2023. And Boygenius is I guess what's commonly known as a supergroup, where each of the artists has their own individual solo career and they come together occasionally to record together. But we have Lucy Dacus, Phoebe Bridgers, and Julian Baker. All three are very, very talented songwriters and artists, singers. I think before buying this album, I was most familiar with Phoebe Bridgers. But now, having listened to this one many times, I am a fan of all three. This is a gatefold as well, so we have some internal artwork in the credits. That's a great picture of the three of them. And this album also came with a little booklet. Not quite as nice as the Postal Service booklet. This one is almost like newspaper material. Still nice to have, but it has black and white photos of all three artists together. I think a lot of these might have been taken while they were recording the album. But we also have the lyrics in their handwriting, so you can kind of see which edits which person contributed. And then another fun little bonus they threw in was a temporary tattoo of a tooth, which you might wonder why a tooth. But you'll notice on the cover, each of the three of them also have that tattoo. And I think the story goes that they all got it after recording their first group project, which was an EP, and it had a song called Pulling Teeth. I think that's the story. Anyway, this is a really wonderful album, and I think it was deserving to win Album of the Year, and I'm very happy that it did. So if you are into female vocalists, wonderful songwriters, a nice mixture of acoustic and electric guitar-driven music, and some really powerful lyrics, you should definitely check out the record by boygenius from 2023. So those are the 5 records that I pulled for this particular episode. I'm happy to do more. I have many more vinyl records in my collection, so I think this is just the start. But I hope this video finds you well, and maybe a little less anxious. Until next time, goodbye.